Hello everyone, I am Anirudh and I welcome you to ILMS Academy, India's premier legal and management education portal. Get certified to enhance employability. So in today's video, we are going to talk about historical background and evolution of the Indian Constitution. Let's start with the introduction. The historical background and evolution of the Indian Constitution can be studied under two broad heads. First, the Company Rule, which lasted from 1773 to 1858, and then the Crown Rule, which lasted from 1858 to 1947. Colonial rulers had employed and devised in managing Indian affairs, and some legacy of the British system of administration can be noticed in Indian polity and constitution. In 1600 AD, the British came to Indian subcontinent at the port of Surat for the purpose of trade. By the 1750s, the East India Company started interfering in Indian political issues. The company saw the ascent of its fortunes and its change from a trading venture to ruling venture. When one of its military officials, Robert Clive, defeated the powers of the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Daulah, at the Battle of Plassey in 1757. In 1858, after the First War Independence in 1857, which is also known as the Revolt of 1857, the rule of the East India Company was brought to an end. The British Crown surpassed direct control of India after the dissolution of the East India Company and begins the British Raj. The British Crown had always assumed the sovereignty over India. Government of India Act in 1858 was the first statute passed by the Parliament, which is marked as the beginning of the evolution of the Indian Constitution. Indian democracy has some features like separation of powers, distribution of powers, federal government, bicameral legislature at centre and states, a representative form of government, and a responsible form of government. The gradual evolution of each of these provisions from a unitary and centralized government which was ruled by Secretary of States appointed by British Parliament. The Company Rule. The rule of East India Company is the Company Rule, which involves a few important acts that played an essential role in the evolution of the Indian Constitution. First, Regulating Act of 1773. The initial step was taken by the British Parliament to control and direct the undertakings of the East India Company in India. With this, the Presidency of Bengal was superior to those of Bombay and Madras. Also, its governor was then designated as the Governor General of all three provinces. Warren Hastings was authorized as the Governor General through the Act. He was given the power of superintendence, control and direction over two remaining territories. An executive council of 4 members was created to assist the Governor General, and the office tenure was fixed for a term of 5 years. Establishment of the Supreme Court at Calcutta was the apex court of the country in 1774, comprising of Chief Justice and 3 other judges. Company officials were prohibited from engaging in any private affairs like trade or business and accepting any sort of bribe from Indians. Court of Directors was required to report on its revenue, military and civil affairs in India. Second was the Pitt's India Act of 1784. In this act, all the territories for the company were called the British possessions in India. This indicated the ownership of British Crown over the territory of East India Company in India. British Crown was the supreme controller of the company's affairs and its administrations in India. In order to separate the commercial and political function of the company, the Crown introduced Board of Control for political affairs of the company, and the commercial affairs were managed by Court of Directors. The Governor's Council was also formed at Madras and Bombay. Third, the Charters Act of 1813. This act finished the East India Company's monopoly business model over trade with India. Now the subject of trade is available to British Crown. Charter Acts of 1833. The Governor General of Bengal became the first Governor General of India, which was Lord William Bentinck. All the civil, military and revenue administration's powers were vested in him. This was the beginning of the central legislature for India, as the Act removed the legislative powers of the Bombay and Madras presidencies. transformation of the East India Company into a purely administrative body and ended all its commercial activities. 5th, Charter Acts of 1853, establishment of Central Legislative Council in order to separate the legislative and executive powers of the Governor-General's Council, which came to be known as Mini Parliament. It consisted of 6 members, out of whom 4 were appointed by provisional governments of Bengal, Bombay, Madras and Agra. Introduction of open examination called Civil Service Examination to recruit civil servants for administration, where Indians were also allowed to appear for the exam. Here begins the Crown Rule. 6th, the Government of India Act of 1858. After the revolt of 1857, the rule of East India Company was replaced by the British Crown, and all the British possessions in India were controlled by them. All the powers of the British Crown were vested in the Secretary of State for India, which was assisted by a Council of India consisting of 15 members. He was vested with complete position and power over the Indian administration, having Viceroy as his agent. Through this act, the designation of Governor-General was changed to Viceroy of India. It was Lord Canning who was the first Viceroy of India. This act abolished the Board of Control and the Court of Directors. 7th, Indian Councils Act of 1861. This act introduced a popular element of involving Indians for the very first time to represent in the Legislative Council and Executive Council as the non-official members. The Executive Council was enlarged by 6 to 12 members, and these members were nominated for a period of 2 years by the Viceroy. Statutory recognition was accorded to the portfolio system. Viceroy was empowered to issue an ordinance in case of an emergency without the concurrence of the Legislative Council. The process of decentralization was initiated by restoring legislative powers to Bombay and Madras presidencies. 8th, Indian Councils Act of 1892. This act introduced indirect election, which was processed by nomination. The size of the Legislative Council was expanded. Functions of the Legislative Council were enlarged as they were given the power of discussing the budget and questioning the executive. 9th, the Indian Councils Act of 1909. This act is also named as Morley-Minto Reforms. This act increased the number of members of the Legislative Council from 16 to 60 and introduced direct elections for the Legislative Council. The name of the Central Legislative Council, CLC, was changed to Imperial Legislative Council. The majority of the official members in the council, which represented the entire state, were maintained to be the same in number, whereas there was a majority of non-official members who were not elected in the provincial or state council. Bengal is the exception, where there was a small majority of elected members. The Act provided for the first time the appointment of Indians with the Executive Council of Viceroy. The first Indian to join the office with the Viceroy's Executive Council as the law member was Satyendra Prasad Sinha. The Act introduced the concept of separate electorate to the Muslims, which is a system of communal representation for the Muslim community. Indian Councils Act came to an end with this act. 10th, Government of India Act of 1919. The act is also named as Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms because Montagu was Secretary of State in India and Chelmsford was the Viceroy of India at that particular time. The demarcation was drawn between central subjects and provincial subjects. The concept of dual governance, diarchy, was introduced in the provincial governments where the executive councillors were in charge of the reserved subjects and the ministers being in charge of the transferred subjects and were responsible to the Legislative Council. A bicameral legislature was introduced at the centre through this act. Public Service Commission was established. There were 140 members in Legislative Assembly and 60 members in Legislative Council. It became mandatory to have at least 3 Indian members out of the 6 in the Governor-General's Executive Council. A direct election where the right to vote was extended by this act. This act was the result of the Simon Commission report, roundtable conferences and the white paper presentation in the British Parliament. This act was the longest, lengthy, detailed and large document introduced by the British in India, consisting 321 sections and 10 schedules. Most of its features are adopted by the Constitution of India 1950. This Act provided for the establishment of All India Federation consisting of governor provinces, British India and princely states as units. The power and subject were divided between the centre and provinces into items of 3 lists, namely Federal list controlled by the centre consisted of 59 items. Provincial list controlled by provinces consisted of 54 items, and the concurrent list, which was catered by both the centre and the provinces, consisted of 36 items. Abolition of diarchy at the provincial level, but it was established at central level named provincial autonomy. Governor General was empowered with residuary power. Council of India was abolished. Burma was separated from India through this act, which is now Myanmar. This act enlarged the bicameral legislature in 6 out of 11 provinces, which are the provinces of Madras, Bombay, Assam, Bengal, Bihar and the United Province. This act provided for the establishment of the Federal Court in India and also RBI. 12th, Indian Independence Act of 1947. British rule came to an end with this act. The act provided for the partition of India and Pakistan, and all the laws which were enforced in British India would be applicable to both dominions until amended by their respective legislature. Each nation will be governed by the Government of India Act 1935 till their new constitution is formed. The Act declared India as an independent and sovereign nation. It provided for the establishment of governments at both the centre and the state levels. Dual functions, constituent and legislative, were also assigned to the Constituent Assembly. The Viceroy India and the provincial governors were made constitutional or nominal heads. 13th, the Constitution of India. The draft of the new Constitution of India was prepared by India on February 1948. The Constitution of India came into force on 26 January in the year 1950. The Constitution of India was inspired and had taken some of its features from various constitutions of other countries. The father of our Constitution and the chairman of the drafting committee, Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, said, "As to the accusation that the draft constitution has produced a good part of the provisions of the Government of India Act 1935, I make no apologies. There is nothing to be ashamed of in borrowing. It involves no plagiarism. Nobody holds any patent rights in the fundamental ideas of a constitution." With this quote, this video comes to an end. Visit ILMS Academy for various courses from contract drafting, RTI, labor law, GST and more. Get certified to enhance employability. Thank you for watching this video and have a nice day ahead.